Hey YouTube, welcome back. Today we are going to be going over a trade that I took in the markets yesterday on MNQ using a new rule that I had implemented just the day before, and it helped us win the trade. Okay, so we are one step closer to being funded for a 50K account. All right, so without further ado, let's get into the charts. All right, guys, this is going to be a quick analysis because I've already tried to record this a few times. And yeah, I don't know if it's because I'm being performative or what, but I could not get my words together. Nevertheless, we are going to go over this trade that I took on Wednesday at about 7:15 a.m. I like to get in the market as soon as possible on the day, starting prayerfully, I can get in at about 3 a.m. But between 4:30 a.m. and 6 a.m. is typically when my trades, no, between 4:30 and 7:30 a.m. is when I can usually find a good setup and get my money and get out. And I'm done trading for the day. I don't even wait until New York open. Okay, so I'm gonna basically just go over what I did in the live markets to secure a win on MNQ on Wednesday. Okay, so first things first, when we open the charts, we look at the 5 minute and we find the trend. Okay, so here we can see, there was a bearish trend that ended up breaking and coming up for a reversal to the upside. Okay, so once we had a few breaks of structure, 1, 2, 3, right? Once we had these breaks of structure, then we could bet our money on buys in the market. Okay, so once we do that, we are going to go ahead and mark up our demand zone. Okay, our demand zones on a bearish trend, because we've decided that this is now heading, did I say bearish? On a bullish trend, because we've decided now that this is a bullish trend, right? Are going to be the red candles. The demand zones are the red candles, red candles, red candles, okay? Now we want to find the most recent demand, okay? So that is the the last red candle after the breakout, or the first red candle after the breakout. So once we've determined where our demand zone is, right? So it would be here, here. We mark up the zone from wick to wick. Sometimes I like to add in the previous or the wick next to it, whether it's previous or the one right in front of it. But because this wick is so large, I will not do that. I will just go from here, and I'm not even going to add that wick in. I'm going to just go here to here. That's what I like to mark up the majority of the time. Okay, so now I'm looking for price to come back and retest the zone. Now, before I even hit play here, we see this green candle has already touched the zone. Okay, so because I'm a conservative trader, I wouldn't get in on that candle, and that's just because I'm more comfortable seeing a red candle come into the zone, close either in the zone or out of the zones before I take buys. Okay, so that would not be the candle that I would get in on. So this is our zone marked up. We're looking for price to come back into that zone, right? And then we will be comfortable taking buys. But if price does not come back into that zone, we sit on our hands, wait for the next break of structure, demand candle, or what have you, however the market's moving. But we wait until our setups are presented in the market before we get into a trade. Okay, so I'm gonna hit play. Boom. Okay, so price came back into our zone, right? Came back heavily into our zone, wicked out of our zone, and then came up and it closed within the zone. I like to see these trades because that wick lets me know that price does not want to take it any further and it wants to respect this demand zone. Okay, that's what I like to see. So per our rules, the reason why this was such a good trade for me is because I had just implemented a rule a day before I took this trade that my stop loss would no longer go right outside the zone if I have a candle that has wicked outside of the demand zone. My stop loss is now the demand zone where the candle wicked from, okay, at the bottom of that wick, okay? So that is my new rule. Like I said, I'm a very conservative trader, so I just like to be sure for sure that my trade is going to go in the direction that I'm expecting it to, okay? So once I seen this candle, it closed. I'm expecting for price to go into buys, but I'm not yet 100% sure that that is what is going to happen, okay? I am now going to look for green candles to come outside of this demand zone, break a candle, and I'm going to show you that here in a second, break a candle, and then we will get in for buys. But keep this stop loss, where we place our stop loss, in mind, okay, for the rest of this trade. So at this point, what I like to do, because this candle is so large, right? Break of candle on the 5-minute would put us in the trade up here. That's too long. That's too long. The price has moved too far. That is not what we are going to get in on this trade, okay? Possibly if the break candle on the 5-minute was somewhere like right here, that would be, that would be an A+ setup for us, but that's not the case here, and we're not going to wait until it breaks on the 5-minute. So what I like to do for a sniper entry is go to my 1-minute, and I will here in a second, or excuse me, I'll show you what I mean here in a second. Go to my 1-minute, and I find the break of the candle that I'm going to get in on this lower time frame, okay? I'm gonna show you where that is. I actually placed this long position tool right where I would get in at. And I'm pretty sure, let me see, because I log all of my trades. I log all of my trades, okay? So I know where I got in at. Let's see, 25,768, 25,768. Yeah. Okay, so that's where I got in at. Typically, I would get in right here. Now, I don't get in a trade until the candle closes. Price can't just go up to, just can't break the candle and then still be moving around. Like we still have time on the candle on the 1-minute. No, it has to go the full 1-minute. I have to see that the candle has broken previous candle, has held previous candle break, and then we will get in for buys, okay? But what will happen is the candle will still be moving up past past where the candle break is, and I will have to wait. I'll sit on my hands. I will not get in a trade until that candle closes. I don't care if it takes off without me or anything like that. I'm going to wait until the candle closes, okay, before I actually get into the trade, okay? So we can actually watch price play out on the 1-minute. That's typically what I do once I drop down to the 1-minute. I'll just watch price on the 1-minute, and that's what we're going to do. So we got our 1-to-1, and we'll hit play. Okay, so I believe I must have got in somewhere right here, maybe price, let me see, I don't know, but this is where I got in at, okay? So hold on, let me see real quick. Yeah, so, okay, so we get in the trade, everything's moving smoothly, right? We are sitting on our hands, we're not making any sudden movements, we're waiting until our 1-to-1 hits and hands off the trade. But what happens is our trade starts to reverse on us, right? And at this point, I started getting shaky. I started getting nervous. I was in this trade for a long time. It felt like ages. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous, right? Just being in the trade, holding for so long, not knowing if it's gonna hit my stop loss. I mean, look how close it came to my stop loss, right? So at this point, I would almost be justified to go ahead and close the trade. I mean, that's what any other trader would do, but that's not what we do. We hold on to our trades until it hits stop loss or take profit. Okay, whatever we have set for our stop loss, whatever we have set for our take profit, that is as far as we will hold the trade. So as you can see, it came very close to my stop loss. Okay. Now at this point, I'm like, I'm leaving here with something. Okay. So I hold on to this trade for almost an hour. I believe it was 45 minutes. It was exhausting. I was ready to get out of the trade. I was like, this is too much. But boom, right? As I'm waiting, as I'm being patient, right? As I'm sitting on my hands, the trade ends up playing out in my favor eventually, right? As we're waiting, the trade ends up playing out in my favor. And we end up holding the trade past take profit one. Because in my mind, I'm like, I've held this trade for so long. It's obviously, right, speeding past my take profit one. I want to see how long I can hold. Can I hold for a 1 to 2? Can I hold for a 1 to 2? So I tried my chances, right? I took my chances for a 1 to 2. Price started to reverse on me. I kept holding, kept holding. I was very, very patient in this trade. I was determined to get my 1 to 2 today or this day. I was very determined to get my 1 to 2. As you can see, we sat in this trade for a long time. Let's see if we can speed this up. Look how much price played with our emotions, guys. This is top tier psychology. This is top tier psychology, okay? Boom. Boom. We ended up hitting TP2. Okay, we ended up hitting TP2 from patience. Now, mind you, remember when we talked about, let's go back to the 5-minute. Remember when we talked about placing our stop loss at the bottom of the candle that wicked out of the zone? Look, I'm gonna see if we can make it clear. If we would not have done that, we would have placed our stop loss here. We would have been kicked out of the trade at this candle. And then we would not have been able to sit in this trade for a 1 to 2 and have the biggest trading day since we started our prop firm challenge. Okay, this is top tier psychology. This is top tier trading strategy, right? And this is top tier following our rules and sticking to our trade bias. Okay, this is what trading is about. Trading is about discipline, right? And self-trust. You have to have it in this game, okay? Because if you don't, it will destroy you. It will destroy your trading career. It will destroy your P&L, and that is not what we are doing all 2026 and beyond, okay? We're sticking with our trades. We're sticking with our rules. We're having self-discipline, and we are becoming profitable traders, okay? All right, guys. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.